Not that hard to get your ass beat.
I don't think it was that bad until that last couple.
I won 2 rounds for sure, and then he won 2, and then I got dropped.
I give Jake so much credit for stepping into that ring.
Bro, he got hit with a bomb, a right-hand bomb.
When he got hit with that too.
Boxing community instead of these clowns that follow him and are still defending him. You know, now what happens is you didn't get any respect as a fighter. You didn't get any respect as a fighter because you didn't try to fight at all.
Fresh out of jaw surgery after Anthony Joshua cracked him, Jake Paul finally tried to explain why the fight felt nothing like the confident buildup. But instead of sounding reflective, his explanation landed like a quiet confession. Jake didn't talk about strategy or mistakes. He talked about presence, about how AJ felt different once he was standing in front of him. And in boxing, that's usually code for something much deeper. It sounded like the moment got into his head before the punches ever did. Jake described the pressure of being in there with someone that big, that solid, that experienced. Not just the physical danger, but the weight of it. And when you strip the words down, what he was really saying was simple: AJ overwhelmed him.
Not that hard to get your ass beat.
I don't think it was that bad until that last couple.
I won 2 rounds for sure, and then he won 2, and then I got dropped. But yeah, I was doing good. I just think my cardio, just the mental pressure of the big guy and sparring the big people is different than the 10-ounce gloves. So I was feeling his power a lot more. But it was a great experience. Like, I learned a lot in there.
Not with trash talk, not with speed, but with sheer reality. The kind of reality that makes confidence feel fragile the second the bell rings. Then Eddie Hearn stepped in and made it worse. AJ's promoter didn't need insults or theatrics. His response was short, direct, and surgical. He basically framed Jake's comments as proof that the fear was already there. And once that idea is planted, Jake loses his usual escape routes. He can't hide behind glove size, camp issues, or bad luck. Now it's mental. Now it's about intimidation. And that turns Jake's big guy pressure comment into something much heavier, a public admission that he felt beaten before the fight fully unfolded. That's why this hit harder than trash talk ever could. It didn't label Jake as injured. It labeled him as scared. From there, the performance itself started to make more sense.
And Jake was told, but listen, I mean, at the end of the day, Jake had one job. And that was to try and survive. I mean, he was never ever going to win the fight, ever. And if you would have said to me, do I think he'll go 6 rounds? I would have said absolutely not. I mean, I felt that it would take AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him, because I knew Jake can move a bit and he'd be moving off the back foot and he'd be holding. But it was the way that he did it, I think, was actually quite impressive. Like, not that particular part, but the way that he would, the way that he was strong in the clinch. He wouldn't let AJ get his shots off in the clinch. He made him miss a few times. And obviously AJ's been out of the ring for a while. But to be honest, I think the most fascinating thing of the whole night in terms of the fight was how he didn't get flatlined by that right hand. I mean, I said going into the fight, it's probably going to take AJ a few rounds to get hold of him. And I also said, as soon as he lands clean, the fight's over, right? He landed a few before, but the first that he landed really clean was the final shot. But, he never flatlined Jake. I mean, he did break his jaw in 2 places, which is a disaster. But there are a lot of heavyweights that would have been out cold from that right hand. I mean, one of them was Francis Ngannou in a pretty similar shot, really. Do you know what I mean? So I actually give Jake unbelievable credit for doing it in the first place, but his performance as well. I mean, I stand by the fact that I think he's just a decent cruiserweight, but he did go in with Anthony Joshua, and look, the world is full of criticism and opinions and negativity. Who else is doing what he's doing at what is he, late 20s? I mean, quite phenomenal. I mean, the guy's a complete madman. I'm watching him come out to that ring walk, and he's just a...
Chris Algieri broke it down bluntly, and his analysis cut straight through the noise. Jake's movement didn't look smart. It didn't look tactical. It looked like panic control. He wasn't using footwork to create opportunities. He was using it to avoid danger. He was doing a lot, but none of it felt purposeful. Everything looked designed not to win. but to survive. The wild shots didn't look like setups, they looked like desperation. The little antics didn't feel confident, they felt like cover. And when a fighter spends entire stretches just trying to make the clock move, that tells you everything. That's not someone trying to take over a fight. That's someone trying not to get caught. The harsh truth is that it made Jake look like he knew he couldn't handle AJ, so he chose safety over pride.
No, it was a very difficult fight to watch. It was frustrating to watch. It was a lot of movement. But if you really think about hindsight, how else would you expect Jake Paul to have fought that fight? If he would have went out there and tried to fight, he would have got knocked out in 1 round or 2, like we were all saying. Instead, at no point did he try to win. At 0 point of that fight did he try to win. I was saying that he fought like you're like 11 years old and you're boxing your 16-year-old brother. Like you gloat, you stick your tongue out at him, you throw wild haymakers, you fall on the ground, you get knocked out. I mean, you get beat up.
And once that picture forms, it's hard to even call it boxing anymore. It starts to look like damage control. Algieri shut down that "at least he got paid" excuse with one simple reminder: the damage is real. Money doesn't protect you when you're getting broken down. Jake didn't take risks. He didn't try to flip the fight. And he still walked away with a wired jaw. That's what makes it worse. He fought scared and still paid the price. So what was the point of the strategy? He didn't win. He didn't impress. He didn't even keep himself safe. If you're going to step up, you either prove you belong or you get exposed. And this made Jake look like someone who stepped into the spotlight, then tried to hide once the danger became real.
To be expected, but honestly, in terms of, what people are saying, like, oh, what's there to lose? He's going to make all this money. Well, you get hurt. It's not just about getting knocked out. And yeah, getting knocked out, it sucks, but he broke his jaw in 2 places, lost a couple teeth. So in terms of how he looks coming out of this fight, he did not endear himself to boxing fans. No one was entertained by watching it. No one is going to you shouldn't give him credit for the way that he fought. And he still got knocked out. I think he would have endeared himself much better to boxing fans if he did what I said earlier. Gone out there, tried to fight a little bit, tried to trade a little bit, gets knocked out in the second round.
Paulie Malignaggi took it even further. To Paulie, the big ring wasn't a strategy. It was a hiding place. Jake wasn't controlling distance with technique. He was creating space so he wouldn't have to trade. And when you don't have the footwork or timing to punch while moving, all that running becomes a slow countdown to disaster. You can only avoid exchanges for so long before the other guy finds you. The worst part, according to Paulie, was that Jake had moments where he could have shown pride even briefly and chose not to. That's why the performance felt empty. It looked like he came in already expecting to lose and simply tried to make the loss last longer. And that shifts the conversation from a bad night to something more uncomfortable.
I have the boxing skills to box on the move anyway. Once I saw the big ring, I knew he was going to run for his life. When you're that much of a novice, which obviously it's not even an insult to him, it's just lack of experience. But when you're that much of a novice, you either know how to run for your life or fight all out. You don't have that in between yet. You haven't developed enough of that in between boxing acumen to really pull that off. And so what ends up happening? You're either going to fight your ass off and you'll last a minute. Chris, you're being generous. Round 2, he would have got knocked out in round 1 if he would have fought. But at least he would have fought. He would have got the respect of the people. And
it starts to feel like disrespect to the sport. Paulie didn't call it cautious. He called it shameless. From that perspective, the fight looked like an attempt to stretch the paycheck without giving the fight. Avoid risk, collect money, and get out. Except it didn't work. Jake still got hurt. That's what makes the plan look both pointless and cowardly. If you're going to take damage anyway, at least make it mean something. At least stand in there and earn it. Instead, the fight dragged on and felt like wasted time on purpose.
Boxing community instead of these clowns that follow him and are still defending him. Now what happens is you didn't get any respect as a fighter. You didn't get any respect as a fighter because you didn't try to fight at all. If he would have, I was watching that through 2-3 rounds. I'm thinking to myself, this guy would do this for 8 rounds if he can. If he can do this for 8 rounds, absolutely not fight at all, absolutely not engage a single time in 8 rounds, he will actually do this. And he'll do it shamelessly. And that's the problem. That's the problem. The shamelessness of his approach to the fight. You're gonna be a fighter. Then don't make an ass out of the whole sport, out of the whole business, and out of yourself first and foremost. Because in the end, what happens? You got his jaw broke anyway. So what ends up happening? What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get hurt, you're going to get knocked out? You got hurt and you got knocked out anyway. But you just prolonged the inevitable, and you got no respect out of it now. Because nobody's respecting that kind of performance. Nobody's respecting a performance where you were totally content to steal money from everyone by running for your life for 8 rounds. And if you could have not engaged a single time in 8 rounds, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to pull that off shamelessly.